everyone, and welcome inside Upon Further Review with B-Marsh and Michael. Presented, as always, by WynnBet. Glad to have you with us after a week off. We are back, and we got a lot to talk about after the Broncos come away with a 28-13 win over the Chargers yesterday. You know my partner, Brandon Marshall. B-Marsh, let's get right into it. Let's start with what's on Marshall's mind, what's on B-Marsh's mind, presented by First Bank, banking for good. Take it away. What'd you see yesterday?
You know, what's on my mind is, the Broncos, they have to be more inconsistent teams in the NFL. You never know what you're going to get from Sunday to Sunday. They played the Eagles, lost 30-13. They beat the Chargers, who's actually sitting in the playoff spot right now, the last playoff spot. I don't know who this team is. They hold Justin Herbert to 13 points, who's supposed to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he is. But the Broncos, look, when they're on, they're on. They can hang and they can beat a lot of teams, but when they're off, it just looks ugly. And the problem is you just never know what you're going to get.
It's wild, right? And this has been the problem all season long. And I was telling somebody this before the game started. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they beat the Chargers, because I feel like that would be on par with what we get from this team. And we're at the point where we just don't know what team is going to show up on any Sunday, right? Is it going to be the team that beat the Cowboys? Is it going to be the team that laid an egg against the Eagles? Is it going to be the team that beat the Chargers? And that's what I think is so frustrating about this team is that B-Marsh, there are signs, right? Mm-hmm. There are signals that this team can be really good, yet they don't deliver week in, week out. What do you attribute that to? Because I think that's what Broncos country is most frustrated about with this team is why are they so maddeningly inconsistent?
Right. I'm going to say a couple of things. It could be injuries, right? But then they're still hurt, but they played, just like they lost, two offensive linemen yesterday, and they came out and run the ball. They ran the ball. I don't know what it is. I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure what it is exactly, but all I know is it's frustrating for Bronco fans to watch. I'm a fan. I've been a Bronco fan since the Terrell Davis, John Elway days. But watching this team is like, I just don't know what I'm going to watch. I turn it on. I'm like, well, what team am I going to get today? And what I saw yesterday, I'm like, okay, this is the team that they can be. But can they be it consistently week in and week out? I'm not sure how they practice. Is it practice habits? Is it, I'm not sure what it is, but they got to figure it out.
Part of it is intriguing. I have to tune in because I don't know which team I'm going to get. And then the other part, as I mentioned earlier, is maddeningly inconsistent and frustrating, because that's why I think it's so frustrating when this team does play well, because you see the flashes, you see the glimpses. And then on the other hand, they go and they lay an egg like they did a couple weeks ago against Philadelphia. And it's just, man, you're just so frustrated at how inconsistent this team is. Now, I think that part of the reason why they won yesterday's game, Brandon, was because of defense. They held Justin Herbert and that Chargers offense to 13 points, second lowest output on the season. I thought this was the defense that we had expected all season long, them to go out and dominate and give this offense be average, right? When we give you the ball, their defense is what impressed me the most yesterday.
Yeah, look, nobody's expecting anything explosive from Teddy. Teddy he's the guy that we need, but we're not expecting anything explosive. So, just like you said, be average, and the defense will go out, get turnovers or create turnovers. Get 3 and outs, have a good third down percentage, get to the quarterback, stop the run. That's what this defense is supposed to do, is made to do. And throughout the season, I'm like, and I would tell you, I'm like, look, I don't. This is no fly zone 2.0. Right. It's not at all. But last night, it looked like, I'm okay, look, this looks like a team that can be that solid defense, that can be that scary defense. And when teams game plan, I'm like, okay, look, guys, we got a young corner on this side. We got 2 veteran corners. We got a great veteran safety, because when they game plan and they're like, look, this defense is good. This defense is real. We got to be ready. So we hadn't been seeing that. This week, we had, and so I'm excited about it, man. They played extremely well on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, and what's crazy is they did that without Kareem Jackson. They did it without Shelby Harris. Of course, we know they're down there 2 starting inside linebackers from the start of the season, and yet they were still really effective yesterday. Yeah. So I wonder, is there a recipe here? Am I getting my hopes up as they go into Kansas City that maybe they can duplicate that type of performance? Because it looks like maybe Kareem is going to be back. I don't know. We'll know more about that later as the week goes on. But I'm still really impressed with what this Broncos defense did. Now the question is, can they do it again?
Yeah, and I think they need Kareem back, for those dime and those nickel packages, because when they bring a third safety, I like Caden as the third safety right now until he develops into being the starter, which he will next year, I'm sure. I love Kenny Young. He's athletic.
Yes.
He can move around. He can run. He can fly around to the ball. He plays with passion and energy. I love it. Baron Browning played well yesterday. Look, this team, I think they found a good pair of inside linebackers moving forward right now. So, look, they gotta stop Patrick Mahomes. They gotta get to him. They gotta put the pressure on him. They gotta be able to cover, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. But I think, Vic Fangio is a great game planner. I think he's a good guy. I never worry about the game plan when it comes to Vic. I just worry about executing it.
Well, what impressed me too yesterday was they were able to get to Herbert a lot and create some confusion with him. And he felt like he was under pressure a fair. And there were some times where he ran around and made plays, but you wonder now, okay, can they do that against Mahomes moving forward? And a lot of times they got pressure with just 4 guys too, which obviously enabled them to do some things on the back end. And then you mentioned Baron Browning and Young. Boy, how about Pat Surtain II, PS2 yesterday? My goodness. I mean, Brandon, there are always going to be people who say, oh, you should have drafted a quarterback. He's always going to be compared to Justin Fields and Mac Jones, who were taken behind him. Yeah. You can't argue that they swung and missed on PS2. What he has been able to do so far through 11 games in his rookie season has been really, really impressive, and it showed up again yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, look, the guy looks like a future All-Pro. I mean, the way he plays, how long he is, how mature he looks on the field. He's always in phase pretty much. He's always on the receiver. I mean, his technique, his speed, his quickness, he's on point. Whoever had a high grade on him and said, look, this is who we're going in the first round, I applaud you, because now the Broncos have a corner in that secondary for a long time. So you have him, you have Justin Simmons in that corner for a long time. Ronald Darby has a couple years left on his contract, but the Patrick Surtain draft pick was amazing. It was amazing. So, 2 picks, a pick 6 yesterday, gave the ball to his dad. I mean, look, it doesn't get no better than that.
Wasn't that great? I mean, wasn't that really, really cool, that whole moment? And there's some symmetry there with his dad's last pick 6 came in Denver. Yeah. His first pick 6 comes in Denver. I mean, I think that's just, it's just fantastic. I think the Broncos got a heck of a player in the first round, and obviously he's living up to that billing so far. And I think that he will continue to do that not only for the rest of this year, but moving forward. And Brandon, I mean, we're talking about guys who had big games yesterday, and I know we've done this before and we've mentioned it on the show, but George Paton continues to look like a genius for what he has done, not only in the draft, but also the Kenny Young acquisition. And I credit George Paton a lot. When they were 4-4 and they traded away Von Miller, he came out and he said, look, this season is not over. It is still ahead of us. And the Broncos are playing like that not on a week in, week out basis because they're so inconsistent, but they're playing like that and living up to what their GM has in store for them.
Yeah, and I was the one that said that the season was over.
Everybody thought it was over. Everybody thought George Paton was crazy.
It's done. These guys are tanking. It's time to, tank for. I'm not sure if they're trying to get the other tour or who they're trying to get. It's over. But all I know is, since they traded away Von, and the thing is, they don't have a premier pass rusher anymore until Chubb comes back, and hopefully Chubb plays next week and does really well against the Chiefs, because that's what we really need. But look, the team knew. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say, he played yesterday, and so hopefully that rust of not playing is now out, and hopefully he can play really well in Kansas City on Sunday night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We need him to flash, right? We need him to flash. I know he's coming off the injury. We need him to flash. We need him to be the Chubb that made the Pro Bowl last year, because they're going against a premier quarterback, right, next week. And they played a premier quarterback this week. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, this other quarterback he's just different. He's a little different. Look, all I know is the team they look good. Yeah. It's not much I can say. They look good. And under the helm of Teddy Bridgewater and with that great defense that they had yesterday. I ain't gonna say they're great overall. Yesterday, it was really good. But, I think this team could be, they could potentially sneak into the playoffs maybe.
Yeah, I know. I think that's a realistic given kind of the schedule that they have. And if they can at least play well in Kansas City, I think they're going to keep their playoff hopes alive, at least for another couple of weeks. And then you got the Lions, right? The Lions are beatable. The Bengals look tough, but you got the Raiders too. I feel like the Raiders would be a winnable game. You got the Chargers again still on the schedule. You've already proven that they can beat them. I mean, it really is kind of all out in front of them if the Broncos can take advantage of that. When we come back here on Upon Further Review, presented as always by WynnBet, the Broncos did something yesterday that they've done only 2 other times this season. We'll tell you what that is and whether or not it might be a recipe for success moving forward. That's next right here on Upon Further Review with B-Marsh and Michael, presented as always by WynnBet. Welcome back inside Upon Further Review with B-Marsh and Michael, presented as always by WynnBet. And Brandon, there was one thing in particular that stood out to me yesterday on the offensive side of the football. Of course, we talked about how dominant the Broncos defense was, but they ran the ball. And we have been beating the drum on this show time and time again for the Broncos to just run the football. It seems really simple, and they did it yesterday to the tune of 147 yards. Just the 3rd time this season they have gone over 125 rushing yards. B-Marsh, pop quiz. When the Broncos go over 125 rushing yards, what do you think their record is on the season?
They're probably 6-0.
3-0, because they've gone over it 3 times. But yeah. I mean, it's that simple. When they run the football.
I thought they did it every time they won. Okay, cool.
Yes. And so they ran the ball 33 times yesterday. Is it that simple? Just run the freaking football?
Did you see that guy at the game with the hat? And run the damn ball.
Yes.
Maybe that's the recipe. We don't have Jonathan Taylor, okay, but we have 2 really good bell cow backs. Either one could be a starting running back on any team, to be honest with you. Those guys are amazing. You know, you have 2 guys with over 500 yards rushing, only team in the league with that. Run the ball. Run the ball. You know, Teddy is secondary right now. It's okay. I mean, obviously we got to get splash plays, but look, when we control the clock with running the ball, we play good defense, man, that's a good recipe to win.
Only once this year when the Broncos have run the ball 20 times or more have they lost. Exactly. I mean, it's all right there, right? The stats don't lie.
Yeah. You control the football game.
Yeah.
Control the game, especially when you know your offense isn't crazy explosive. Control the game, play good defense. You'll be in the game the entire game until you get a premier quarterback. Okay, we don't have that right now. So look, use your best weapons. All right? I know you paid Timmy $30 million and Corlin a lot of money, so you got to get those guys involved. But right now, we're trying to win football games, and we know right now our best chances when we run the ball.
And what's crazy was that they did it with 4 backup offensive linemen. I mean, they ended that game yesterday with Quinn Bailey, Muti, Cushenberry, Miners, and Fleming. Cushenberry is the only starter on that offensive line who finished the game yesterday, and they were still able to run the ball effectively. That, to me, screams continue to run the football. And I thought it was pretty telling that in the post-game locker room celebration, Vic Fangio holds up a game ball, and he's like, we ran the ball 33 times today. And everybody's like, yeah. And then, like, I felt like that was a microcosm for, like, what Broncos country has been doing when they run the football. It's like, yeah, we finally ran the football. Thank goodness. Is Pat Shurmur in the locker room? Is he paying attention right now?
Right. I think Pat Shurmur is starting to hit his stride. I think he's figuring it out. The Eagles game when he was out, I think that's what, that was the issue. They didn't run it enough. I feel like they should have ran it even more. I know those guys have a good front as well in Philadelphia, but look, run the ball. That's our identity. I remember we spoke about in the beginning, who is our identity? Who are we? Yeah. We're a team that can run the football. All right, we have 2 bell cow backs. Put those guys to work.
Yeah. And third down yesterday was huge too. 8 of 11 on third down, 72%, 3 of 3 inside the red zone. I mean, everything just kind of clicked. And I think it was because they ran the football. Now, Brandon, something that stood out to me yesterday was that for the second time this season, the Broncos basically told everybody who was watching their game that they felt like Teddy Bridgewater, not at 100%, was still better than Drew Lock, right? Teddy gets hurt and he leaves. Drew comes in, he leads a touchdown drive, but then throws an interception, a very ill-timed interception. And Brandon, I think had he not thrown that interception, there's a chance that he comes back out to start the second half. But I think once he threw that interception, the Broncos said, forget it. We're better with Teddy Bridgewater on one leg than we are with Drew Lock on two legs. And that to me is a really damning statement about what this team thinks about Drew Lock moving forward.
I mean, don't forget he fumbled as well.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
He fumbled as well. So look, Teddy came out hobbling. They would rather have Teddy hobbling and hand the ball off than Drew Lock. I'm telling you, it's over for the kid. He might look for a new home, ask to be released or traded or whatever he got to do. But all I know is, look, Drew is not the guy in Denver. It's okay. He may be the guy somewhere else, but can the fan base finally stop calling for Drew?
Right. At this point, and I'm a Drew Lock fan, right? Like, I like Drew Lock. I've been on record saying that all along. But at this point, I don't know how you can try and justify the fact that you want Drew Lock to be the starting quarterback ahead of Teddy Bridgewater, given what you've seen. And I'm with you, Brandon. I think the best thing for Drew Lock would be to get out of Denver, get out of the shadow of being the second-round pick that was supposed to come in and maybe be the franchise quarterback, get away from all that and go somewhere else. And I think he can be a backup somewhere else. But I don't think he has a future here in Denver.
No, he doesn't. And I think it's just too much trauma. You know, it's like me when I left Jacksonville, you know, Terrence Knight and me left teams, a lot of times players, you know, they're just not in the right situation for them. Yeah. And it's fine because Denver's, that's no knock on the organization. Denver's a really good organization, but sometimes it's just not the right fit for the player, which is why you see players go other places and they succeed. And so I know, you know, Drew might go another place, and if he plays well enough because he has the arm talent, he may succeed. Broncos fans will be like, oh, well, why can we didn't do it? Look, just get that idea out your head because that's just the right place for him. Denver's just not the place for him, and it's okay. It's okay. And the sooner that Broncos fans realize it, the sooner that we stop calling for Drew Lock and let's rock with Teddy B. He's playing well this year. And you know what's funny? I got dragged earlier before the season.
Yeah, you did.
We was talking about Baker Mayfield on Twitter. And I said, look, I don't see the hype because I feel like, you know, you can't tell me Baker's better than Teddy Bridgewater, but that much better. And I looked at the stats earlier this morning, actually, when I woke up, and I'm like, look, I look like a genius right now because Teddy B is playing better than Baker Mayfield right now. You know, and Browns fans came on my Twitter page, Mike, and went crazy on me, but I should go reference that tweet again.
hit that retweet on that. Yeah. Hot takes or whatever it is. Flaming hot takes. You know, and what's interesting too, you mentioned guys who succeed when they're gone. I look at Isaiah McKenzie with the Bills, right? And like a guy who just couldn't get it together here in Denver, who finds another home, probably has less pressure on him because he doesn't have the weight of all the muff punts. And now he's having a really nice career and being a really big impact player for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah,
look, Mike, it happens all over the league. It's just sometimes that's just not your spot. You know what I mean? I know we talk about everything happens for a reason, right? You know, Drew Lock came here to probably face adversity and to beat it, right? Maybe he's supposed to, you know, go through something that we're not sure mentally, but, you know, cool. He takes this lesson and he moves on to the next part of his life. And everything he learned in Denver, he takes that and moves on, whether he goes to, I don't know where he can go, but he'll go somewhere, right? He'll go somewhere and then, you know, hopefully he figures it out. Hopefully he gets his mind right because he has the arm talent. So clearly we know it's not the physical attributes. It's between the ears.
Well, and this is the first time in his life that he hasn't been the guy. You know, I mean, he was the guy all in high school. He was the guy all during his time at Mizzou. This is the first time in his life where he hasn't been the guy. And not only is he not the guy, but he didn't live up to the billing. So that compounds it. And so I'm with you 100%, man. I think if he goes somewhere else.
You know, it kind of reminds me of a Shane Ray situation, right? And Shane is my guy, man. I like Shane, but I don't think he handled adversity well. He didn't really handle it too well when they were trying to, you know, basically when they drafted Chubb or after he had 8 sacks and just it just didn't go right for him, right? Then he goes to Baltimore and things don't go right. You know, so it's a similar situation like that. But you gotta roll with the punches, right? You gotta handle adversity. Stuff comes your way. It doesn't go how you planned it. Okay, how can you fix this or how can you keep moving forward? And I don't want to see Drew Lock just continue to just fall down.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think another home is what's best for Drew Lock. He's got 1 year left on his rookie deal, and then obviously we'll see what happens. I don't know that he has any trade value. I don't know that the Broncos. I mean, they might look to move him this offseason and get a late round pick, but I think that his trade value right now isn't very high. You're not going to get very much in return for that second round pick. So we'll see what happens with Drew Lock moving forward. Let's jump into our report card. Today's report card brought to you by Flock Homes. Smarter rental property ownership starts here. Visit flockhomes.com to learn more. Professor Marshall, who are we handing out grades to today?
Yeah, well, I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon. You know, the guy played against his former team, averaged almost 5 yards a carry. You know, the guy is, you know, and I said Melvin because, you know, I see some tweets sometimes where, you know, fans just want Javonte to play mostly, Javonte. But look, this 1-2 punch is amazing, right? Melvin is still explosive. He hits the home run ball. You saw when he played the Giants and how he took it, and he can go the distance. He's fast. He can play well in the pass game. He can protect. He can run good routes. He has good hands, and he can still hit the hole, man. Like, look, I know we was talking about because they're paying Melvin $8 million or whatever they're paying him, but they might want to go with the 1-2 punch again next year. You know, with Melvin and Javonte, give him one more year, keep all those hits off of Javonte, and then see what happens. You know, because I think this is something that could be really good.
Yeah, I think it's working, right? And I think that it's interesting that you note those tweets about and how Broncos country feels about Melvin Gordon. I think there's still a stigma of Melvin Gordon's the guy who came in and took time away from Phillip Lindsay and ended his time in orange and blue. I think part of Broncos country still kind of resents Melvin Gordon for that.
Yeah, and which is crazy because it's not Melvin's fault. You know, he didn't make them pay him $8 million. They said, hey, look, we'll give you $8 million to come be our starting running back. But I still don't understand. I'm still trying to figure out to this day is how did Phillip Lindsay get washed out? You know, that was wild. It could have been the 1-2 punch with Melvin and Phillip, or Phillip and Javonte when they drafted Javonte. But, you know, Phillip was a good runner. You know, hopefully he finds a real home with the Dolphins, a team that really appreciates him. But it seems like the Broncos didn't appreciate him because it's not too many times a back will have 2 consecutive 1,000-yard rushing seasons, and then they say, all right, you're done. That blows my mind.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened in that building. You know, what they thought. So hopefully, you know, he can find a real home with the Dolphins. But Broncos fans, don't blame Melvin for that. It was Elway. Yeah. Okay. Elway gave him the money. I would take the money. Okay, cool. Thank you.
So you're handing out a grade to Melvin. What'd you get? A B? What was Melvin?
Yeah, I give him a B, man. I like what he's doing. Like we did yesterday, but I really like what he's doing all season.
All right, I'm going to give a B to the offensive line. Makeshift offensive line coming in, finishing that game with 4 backup offensive linemen. I'm going to give them a B as well. And Quinn Bailey, man, coming in off the practice squad, gets elevated, all of a sudden has to play some really meaningful snaps. I think the offensive line deserves a B for what they did yesterday.
Can I give one more grade?
Go ahead. What's up?
To the O-line coach, man, let's give him an A.
Munchak,
Let's give Mike an A because before O-line, he came in and those guys played well. He's a great coach, apparently. He has those guys playing extremely well, backups or not. Let's give him an A, man.
And it's not just Garrett Bowles, right? Like, I mean, we thought, okay, that was Munch's big project was can he get Garrett Bowles to play better? And he did that, and he's proven he can get all 5 of those guys to play better. I like that grade a lot. I like Mike Munchak a lot and what he's done with this team and specifically with that offensive line. All right, we got to take another break. When we come back, we go around the league, tell you which team surprised us yesterday, plus our keys to beating the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday night at Arrowhead Stadium. Will this finally be the year that the Broncos break the streak? We will tell you how they can potentially do that. All that and more coming up next right here on Upon Further Review with B-Marsh and Michael, presented as always, WynnBet. Welcome back inside Upon Further Review with B-Marsh and Michael, presented as always by WynnBet. It is time for us to go around the league. Around the league, brought to you by Nissan. Choose Nissan today for great offers on their most exciting lineup ever. Shop NissanUSA.com. B-Marsh, really, obviously another intriguing week around the NFL, and there is one team in particular, your original Super Bowl pick, that I thought was really impressive yesterday, and that's the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, my original Super Bowl pick, because I felt like Aaron Rodgers was going to come back with a vengeance. He was going to prove his worth. Well, not prove his worth because we know his worth, but he was going to go and take him to the Super Bowl, probably win it, and then ride off into the sunset, go to a different team. But, look, those guys are gelling. They're hitting on all cylinders. The defense is playing extremely well. And I think that was one of the issues for the Packers in the last couple of years, the defense, right? The defense is playing great.
Yeah.
Secondary, they have good pass rushers. They have good linebackers. Look, everybody's playing extremely well on the Packers, but, we'll see, if they can beat the Bucs in the playoffs because, that's probably their kryptonite. But they're playing really well, man.
I could totally see that being a rematch of the NFC Championship game. I could totally see that happening right now. What does that say about the Rams? Because you thought kind of halfway through making that Super Bowl pick that all of a sudden the Rams were going to be the team to beat. And I think a lot of people thought that. And then they go out, they acquire Von Miller, they acquire OBJ, and now all of a sudden they've lost 3 straight.
Straight, and I don't know what's going on. Initially I was looking at Matt Stafford a little sideways, like, hold on, is a moment too big for you? You used to be in that small market, now you're in big LA, but he's playing pretty well. I think he's playing good. He's not having he's playing well. He's playing well, but for some reason, all the onus goes on him. Of course, he's the quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
I saw a tweet that said, talk about, how the weight loss pictures from 45 days ago, they look the same. When Rams traded for Matt Stafford, they had Jared Goff. It looks the same, but I don't know what's going on with the Rams. They got to figure it out and figure it out fast because the season is coming to a close, right? It's about to be December.
Yeah.
And this is when football truly matters in December. So they got to figure it out now.
You think Von's like, man, I maybe wish the Broncos hadn't traded me?
No.
The Broncos are 2-1 since they traded Von Miller.
Bob is not. Bob's living in LA. He's loving LA. He's enjoying LA, man. He's with a different team. He got his old number back, number 40. Yeah, he got to get sacked, man. He's having pressures though. He's getting pressures, but I need to see him get home. Yeah. But he's definitely not wishing he was in Denver.
In the AFC, watch out for the Patriots. I really think the Patriots could do something. I think that Mac Jones is playing at a really good level. Obviously, you've got Bill Belichick calling the shots there, and so you never count them out with what he's been able to do. They've got a massive game coming up this week against the Bills. Brandon, there's a chance that the Patriots could end up winning the AFC East, which I think would be surprising to everybody if you look back at the start of the year. I'm really impressed with what they're doing, and I think that they could potentially make some noise here down the end of the season.
Yeah, and look, we talk about identity, right? This team has found their identity. They run the football extremely well. Their defense has been playing extremely well. Look, won 6 in a row, right? I want to say their defense climbed up to the number 2 spot in total defense, in yards per game allowed, man. Look, they're playing extremely well on defense. Bill Belichick has the defense rolling. Josh McDaniels has the offense playing. He has Jones. He's the best rookie quarterback right now.
Yes, easy. He's the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely. Now, granted, he's in a great situation, right? He's a better situation than Trevor Lawrence as far as coaching and culture and players around him, and then Justin Fields and Zach Wilson. But Mac Jones has taken it, and he's taking them to the next level, man. Mac Jones, he's not really making that many mistakes. He's doing well, and I love what I'm seeing. So Patriots are definitely scary.
Yeah, I think they can make some noise. And Broncos, they've got the Bengals on the schedule. Don't sleep on the Bengals. They got a big win yesterday. A massive win over Pittsburgh. They just waxed the Steelers. Yeah. And I think most people were looking at that game thinking, okay, Broncos go to Kansas City, then they got Detroit, and they got Cincinnati. Those are 2 winnable games. I'm not so sure that Cincinnati is under the winnable game column anymore.
Right, and I know you talk about Mac Jones winning Offensive Rookie of the Year, but what about Jamar Chase?
Yeah.
I know they give these awards to quarterbacks all the time.
But yeah, of course they do. Yeah,
of course they do. Okay, Jamar Chase, his impact has been crazy. But like you said, it's a case for them both because they're both playing extremely well. Mac Jones, they won 6 games in a row, but the Bengals coming into Denver, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be scary, man. They got a good run game. They got great weapons on the outside. They're playing good on defense, so it's going to be a scrappy one.
All right, let's take a sneak peek into what's coming up this week for the Denver Broncos. Our sneak peek brought to you by UC Health with personalized care and locations across Colorado. UC Health is here for you, no matter where your story takes you. UC Health, live extraordinary. Brandon, it has been since 2015 that the Denver Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs. You were on the field that night for Denver. Yeah. What will it take for them to get a win at Arrowhead this week?
I think I had a hand in that win, as well.
Is there a picture on the wall behind you that maybe symbolizes your hand in that win? Yeah. You certainly had a finger.
I haven't seen it forever. from that game, which is wild. But for the Broncos to win this football game, I've been kind of torn because I've actually been thinking about this because, we spoke about them controlling the clock, right? Which I think needs to happen. The longer you can keep Mahomes on the bench is the better for your team. So they got to be able to control the clock with the 1-2 punch. Chiefs defense isn't great. But the problem is the Broncos do have a makeshift offensive line, and the Chiefs have Chris Jones. He was very disruptive. He's a force in the middle for the Chiefs. But if the Broncos can establish the run, I think they can have a chance to win. But also, if they can't, right, if things aren't going well, I think maybe they got to go high tempo. Maybe tempo the Chiefs. Get on the ball fast. You get them tired, get them run the sideline to sideline, and do something. They got to create something because I don't think they're just better than the Chiefs, but they have to do something to create that situation for them.
In your mind, Brandon, is the blueprint there because this Chiefs offense on the other side of the ball has not been as explosive as we have seen? Now, there's probably plenty of reasons for that. And I think that then you have to consider the fact that they're coming off the bye and that Andy Reid is really good when coming off a bye. I think that will factor into Sunday's matchup. But is the blueprint there to at least try and slow down Patrick Mahomes? And you talked about Vic Fangio earlier. If anybody's going to do it, it would be Vic, right? I mean, that would seem to be the conventional wisdom here.
That's what they called him, right? When they hired him, the evil genius.
He's got to live up to that billing this week.
Yeah, his game plans are really good. I can't hate on his game plans. His game plans are really good. It's up to the players to execute. It's always been the offense, right? It's not always been the offense because the Chiefs, like you said, they put up 40 on them, they put up 30, but we need to establish control of the clock, man. If we can control the clock and we can play good defense, we have a chance to win the game. We will be in the game in the fourth quarter, where Mahomes is best, by the way, but we will be in the game in the fourth quarter if we can establish the run, control the clock, keep Mahomes on the bench, play good defense. I think that is the recipe. I think we have to do that. If we can't establish a run with Melvin and Javonte, we can't win.
And to me, Brandon, that is honestly a successful day in Kansas City, right? The Broncos are 10-point underdogs, according to WynnBet. I don't think that they're going to go into Kansas City and win the game. I really don't. But if they at least go in and are competitive, and if it's a game in the fourth quarter, I think you can feel good about that. If they go in and lay an egg like they did against Philly, then I think that what was this Chargers win for, right, is kind of the thinking. They have to go in and at least be competitive. And that, I think, will honestly, at this point, be enough to make Broncos country feel good about their football team moving forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and we'll feel good about them playing Detroit and Cincinnati and then going to the games after that. Because even if they do lose on Sunday, we're still in the playoff hunt, right? Mm-hmm. We're still in the playoff hunt. But our thing is we want to be competitive in this game. And it sucks to say that because I hate having that mindset because I think we can win everything, right? I want to win everything. But the reality is the Broncos haven't beat in 6 years. It's been a long time. Yeah. And they played the guys 12 times and they haven't won a game. So, we need to see a real competitive game. It's a division game. Those guys got to come in and be ready. And hopefully this win gives them some juice. And
in recent years, they haven't even been competitive outside of one game. I mean, it hasn't even been competitive going into the fourth quarter. So I think if we're sitting here next week talking about, hey, they played a decent football game, they didn't do enough to get the win, but I think that will be good for Broncos country. You just can't go there and get waxed 33-6 or 35-0 or whatever.
Broncos Twitter will be in a frenzy. Oh okay, if that happens,
here come the Drew Lock stands. Hey, that's going to do it for us. For my partner Brandon Marshall and all of us here at CBS4, I'm Michael Spencer. Thanks so much for tuning into Upon Further Review with B-Marsh and Michael, presented as always by WynnBet. We will be back with you next week for a brand new episode right here on CBS in Denver. Until then, take care, and we'll talk to you next week.